Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. I thought it would be nice if I sat down today and just chatted a little bit about my knitting plans for the rest of this year. So autumn this year and the beginning of winter. Because obviously I have like my Make 9s going, but there's also a couple of other things that have kind of started this month in September where I'm like, let's just do a video and share what I've kind of got coming up for the next few months. I am actually knitting on a project. This is the Forager by Melody Hoffman. I've decided just to work on the body because it's just round and round stockinette. I should be doing the second sleeve before I do the body. But I was like, I have plenty of yarn, so it's fine. I don't need to do the sleeve straight away. And it's just easier doing. I've just knit so many sleeves over the last month and a half, maybe 2 months. Just sleeve after sleeve after sleeve. And I like knitting sleeves, but it's just been just too many sleeves. So I was like, nope, gonna treat myself to just working on the body of the Forager where I don't really have to pay attention, just have to occasionally slip my beginning of round mark and that's it. It is finally cool enough to wear knitted items again. I'm normally a huge fan of winter. That's like my favourite season normally. But I think I'm starting to become an autumn lover. The fact that it's still, the sun doesn't disappear super early in the day. And it can be kind of warm during midday, but then in the evening it gets really cold and chilly and you need a jumper and tea and candles and coziness in general. So I'm just really excited it's finally cooled down. So much so that I've decided to wear one of my cozy jumpers that I haven't been able to wear since I finished it. So this is the No Sweatshirt by Park Williams. So it literally is just like a hoodie. It's got a hood, which I'm not going to wear right now. And I made this, it was a test knit I did earlier this year. And I used 2 strands of Holst Coast held together to knit it. I had a 500 gram cone. I think I used 380, 390 grams, something like that. And yeah, I really love it and would love to make many more in many different colours. But I've got too many projects on my needles. And that's sort of what this video is going to be about. So I'd decided I was going to film this because I'd already sat down a week ago approximately and had a think about what I still kind of want to try and knit this year. Are there any knit-alongs I'm taking part in or planning to take part in and things like that? And slowly these goals kind of started to form of what I want to try and still achieve this year. So I wrote all of that down and then I was like, you know what? It might be interesting for people just to kind of hear, not necessarily to inspire people to do the same thing, but more of to see what, is kind of going to be coming up over the next few months and what you can expect to kind of see. Just thought it could be interesting. So the first thing is a knit-along. I don't even know if it's called a knit-along. A challenge? I guess it's a challenge that is happening on Instagram. Is it only Instagram? It's run by Becky Knits. She's Becky Knits on Instagram. She's Becky Knits on YouTube. She's from the UK and she runs this kind of challenge called 6 Sock September, where the challenge is to knit 6 socks in the month of September. And I think she's done this a few times already. I've never taken part until this year. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I've got some socks that I want to knit and it'll just be nice, to feel motivated because there's this challenge going on. So for me it was, I've got the Lotus socks from 52 Weeks of Socks on the go, and I was relatively close to finishing the first one, I think I just finished the decreases with the gusset. And I was like, I just have the foot left to do and then the toes, and I love doing toe decreases. I was like, it'd be nice to get this first one done and be even nicer to get the second one done this month too. And just get that off the needles so I can wear them. And then I started to think of other socks I maybe wanted to knit, and my grandma actually wants a pair of socks for this winter with, electricity prices rising. I'm not going to talk about this. It's absolutely horrific what's happening, and I'm like, don't need to talk about it. We're all stressed about it already. So my grandma's a bit anxious about all of that, and so we really just want some woolly socks for, cold winter days and evenings. So I'm going to knit her a pair of socks, and I was like, the Sunday socks by Petite Knit are kind of perfect. Because you don't have to know the exact length and width of someone's feet to be able to knit them a pair, because they're relatively forgiving because of that 2x2 rib that you've got going around the sock. Not the foot of the sock, but on the top. So it is just a very forgiving pattern. So I was like, I'll do that. It also means with the long cuff, you can fold it over for extra warmth and coziness. It's a sort of DK worsted weight pattern. So once again, very warm and cozy socks. And they're quick to knit. I've made so many pairs. Last year I made 5 pairs for my cousin and her family. And I really just enjoy knitting them. They're a quick, fun knit, and it's sort of like an instant gratification project, but it's not instant. It's just quick gratification. So I was like, okay, well that's 2 more socks. That would already get me to 4. And then there's plenty of other socks that I want to knit, and, let's just give it a go. So that's the first thing. That only runs until the end of September. So yeah, so that was kind of the first thing I had that I was kind of thinking about and planning, and I was like, this fits well into what I've already kind of got planned and want to do this month. The other one is something I signed up for in August. I think it was August. Which is I think it's called the Autumn Knit Along that Holst is running. So I think it started 1st of September and runs until the end of the year. You can tell that I'm not fully invested in 100% committing to these kind of things because I don't know all the details. But yeah, for me it's just, I really love Holst patterns, and since last year September for Yarndale, I have in my possession 5 skeins of mohair in different colours and a skein of a yak sock colourway, all dyed by the lovely Georgie of the Fibre Fox. And that was my payment for helping a Yarndale, and she specifically dyed it up for me because those were the colours I wanted and everything. And the plan originally was to knit the Overthrow Wrap by Holst. That's what I wanted the yarn for. And I wanted to knit that last year after all my yarn and stuff had been shipped from the UK over to Austria. So I had a bit of time still in the UK where I wouldn't have much stuff, and I was like, this project, perfect. And then there'd also be some time in Austria before my stuff arrives where I could then, work on knitting this beautiful, big, fluffy, amazing shawl. Didn't happen though, because I had so many other things I was working on, and I forgot how much yarn I actually still had in Austria, so I had plenty of other projects to work on. And I also, with the beauty of the EU and shipping within the EU, I also bought yarn and started new projects, so I never got started on that one. So I've been meaning to knit it for quite a while, and I was like, well, this knit along could be the perfect excuse to cast it on and just get started. Even if I don't finish it before the end of the knit along, it would just be nice to have started it and really see it kind of work up. But yeah, so that knit along is being run on Ravelry, I think. That's the official one where you have to post finished objects, because I think there's huge prizes you can win. I'm not in it for the prizes. I'd never do a knit along for the prizes. Some people seem to be really motivated by that though, because some people have signed up for multiple projects so that it increases their chances of winning, and I'm like, I'm just here for one. That's already enough for me. but you know, you do you. But yeah, so I wanted the overthrow wrap. Start it and hopefully, you know, be nice to get it done before the end of the year. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. The other thing I've obviously had going since the beginning of the year is my Make 9. I have finished 5 so far. 3 I have on the needles and 1 I haven't started yet. So the forager is one of them. So I'm making progress on that. I have to finish the body, knit 1 sleeve, and then this one is done. I have the Satsuki by Sari Nordland left to do, where I've done like nothing, nearly nothing, because I just haven't been working on it. And then the other one I have on my needles is the Sparky by Andrea Mowry, which is a colourwork one, and I've been doing some other colourwork projects, so I just haven't been working on it. So I think I'm going to focus on the forager, then the Sparky, and then the Satsuki. And ideally I'd like to try and get those 3 finished before the end of the year. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But currently I don't want to start the Talk by Albiona McLaughlin, which is the last one of my Make 9 I haven't started yet. I don't want to start that one until the other 3 are done. There is absolutely no reason that I need to start that one when I have my 3 other ones going and I've got other projects on the needles. But it would just be nice to, you know, even just finish 8 out of the 9 and then start 2023 fresh. And, you know, maybe bring the Talk as one of the 9 projects for next year. Maybe, maybe not. But if those 3 could be done, it'd be really nice to start the year kind of, like I said, fresh with my Make 9s and think about what other projects I can work on and not immediately be like, oh, I still have, you know, those 3 left from last year and that other one I haven't started. And then I'll feel kind of like, well, I can't add these projects that I've already started to my Make 9 because I want to start, you know, with brand new projects. So it'd just be nice to get them done and be able to wear them in the colder months and everything. And yeah, so that's kind of my goal with the Make 9s. But once again, I think I'm going to sort of try and concentrate on one at a time. So the forager currently is the easiest one to get done. Then I think I might focus on the Sparky because I can feel my fingers itching for a colourwork jumper because I think I've almost finished the colourwork for all the other colourwork things that I've been working on. I think, could be wrong. So then it'd be really nice to have that one going. And once the yoke is done for that one, it's just a really simple colourwork repeat throughout the rest of the jumper and the sleeves. So just need to get through the yoke, which is the tricky one. So that's my Make 9 goals. And if it ends up being that I finish those 3 really quickly, I might start the Talk if I feel like it, but I'm not going to start it just because it's part of my Make 9. If I finish my other 3 Make 9 and I still have plenty of time to do the Talk, but I'm just like, don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it. Not going to pressure myself to knit something that I don't want to knit. Just hasn't felt right yet. What else? I've been trying to focus on getting some of my older projects done. So, which ones have I shared so far? I've shared the Novice cardigan, I've shared the Telegram cardigan. Have I shared any other old ones? I can't remember now. And I really am just trying to get some old projects off the needles so that I know I'm not going to be able to finish all the old projects I have on my needles before the end of the year. And for me, an old project is one I started before the beginning of this year. I'm definitely not going to get all my projects off the needles before the end of the year, but I'm also not going to be able to get all my pre-2022 projects off the needles before the end of the year. So what I'd like to do is to just try and finish one old project every month before the beginning of next year. So one for September, October, November, December. So that's 4 old projects off the needles before the end of the year. And I think that's doable because I have been working on quite a few of them kind of in rotation whenever I feel like sort of like working on something new and they feel almost new because it's been a while since I've worked on them. I've also specifically selected projects where there wasn't all that much left, as in kind of projects where I had the sleeves left or I had a bit of the body and the sleeves left, and those projects where they were probably close to 50% done already because they're just going to be quicker to try and get done. And also I've tried to prioritize my older projects, and then also within those older projects I've tried to go for the projects where I've been using bigger needles because they're just going to get done quicker and it's easier to see progress and kind of stay motivated. So that would be nice, get some old projects of my needles in. And the kind of hope and plan for the future is that next year I can really try and work on finishing the year and the only projects I still have on my needles, because I'm being realistic. I'm gonna have projects still on my needles at the end of next year. I'm always gonna have projects on my needles. But yeah, end of next year, it'd be nice to end the year only having projects on the needles that I started that year. So no more super old projects. And I think that's relatively realistic, especially because currently the only old projects I still have on the needle, they're all from 2021. So I think I've finished all my 2020 projects now. I think I have, other than blankets. I don't count blankets. They're long-term projects where there is no pressure to finish them. Plus, I think all my old blankets are scrappy blankets. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't finish most of them because I don't have enough scraps to finish them. So that's fine. There's no pressure with them. So yeah, I'd finish an old project every month. Because currently I think I have something like 35 projects on the needles. Not all of them are here in Germany with me. I think I've got 3 or 4 that are still in Austria because they're like my biggest, bulkiest projects that are done on like, what's the smallest? I think the smallest one is 8mm needles or 9mm needles. Something like that. And the biggest is like 12, 15. It's like my super chunky yarn. And I was like, I'm just not going to bring them. They're relatively quick knits. I can finish them if I'm ever in Austria for a holiday or a break or something. So I have about 35 projects on the go. Some of them are blankets. Some of them are those big projects that I don't have here with me. But I would love it if I could, before the end of the year, get my number of projects on the needles down to below 30. So that's not too bad. The only thing, and doable, especially when I said, I want to finish one old project a month before the beginning of the new year. So that's already going to get me really close, especially with the Make 9 I want to get done. What's going to prevent me from meeting that goal is if I cast on too many new things. So this is part of the reason actually why I've made this video. Because I found thinking about these kind of things and goals and stuff does help me kind of stay on track and not give in to kind of how I'm feeling in the moment when, I've had a bad day or I'm just really tired and I've seen something amazing on Instagram and I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to make this thing now. I have yarn for it, let's cast it on. And then I work on it for that evening and then the next day I'm like, oh, I'm over it now. I'll work on that later in the future. I don't need it now. So having these kind of goals written out, and especially having a video, it really just helps me solidify those thoughts and gives me something to think back on when I have those moments where I'm like, no, I want to start something new. And then I think back to, well, you made this video, and it doesn't mean I can't, start new things. That's not, I'm fully for cast on things that make you happy and that you really want to knit and things. But I also try to keep in mind the fact that there's a reason why I set myself these goals. It's not to prove anything to anyone else or anything like that. It's really just, I want to wear the things that I've started making. I just want to wear the things I've made in general. And then also, there was a reason why I started them. There's a reason why I haven't frogged them. because every time I think about, just froggle your old projects, I'm like, no, but I know I'm just going to cast them on again exactly as what the yarn already is being knit up as, because I love those projects so much. So it's kind of just making the time to go back and really finish things, and I do enjoy that. Like going back and working on the Telegram cardigan has been amazing. Doing the oversized season's cardigan and the season's sweater, it was so nice to finally have those done because I love the yarn so much and everything. So there is a reason why I want to finish these things, and it's not just to be like, I want to try and finish a lot of things. I don't really care about that. But another thing is just, it would be nice to just have one space in my apartment where I keep my projects that I'm working on. Currently don't have that. Currently have 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4 places where I keep all my works in progress. Sounds weird saying it fully. Like where I keep all my whips. And it would just be nice to have them all in one place, along with the yarn, that I still haven't knit up for that project. And just to have this one, I have a really nice cupboard in this apartment underneath my TV, where that's what I originally did when I moved in, because I only had a few projects. But since then they've expanded and now it's just every corner I can find where I'm like, a project bag could fit in here, shove project in. And then whenever I want to try and find an old project to work on, it takes me so long to look through like the 4 different places. And then often I haven't kept the extra yarn with the project. So then when I've worked on it a bit, I have to go on a hunt for the extra yarn. And I have like 3 different places where I keep the yarn, but they're not really easily accessible. And so it'd just be nice to, and I think it also means I'm more likely to work on old projects if I can actually easily access them and the yarn. So just another reason why I need to get some things of the needles. I think that was all. Ooh, and the only other thing is something I've already been trying to do this year is to finish more things than I start. So I keep track of all the projects I have on my needles using Excel, and I also keep track of how many things I've started a month and finished a month. Just, I had at least 1, maybe 2 months this year where I started way more than I finished. Typically, that happens when I test knit and when I do a lot of gift knits. I always cast on a lot when I do gift knits and test knits because I literally just go, nope, these are important, I have to start them now. And then I don't finish my other projects first. I'm learning. But it's just nice to keep track of what I've started and what I finished, just to kind of keep in mind that when I'm like, oh, I'm going to start a new project, and I look at my Excel spreadsheet and I'm like, you've already started 4 projects this month. You've only finished 2. Do you really want to start another one? And then I'm like, no, I'll finish something old. And then, within an hour or something, typically less, of working on an older project, I'm fully in it, and all I really wanted was some knitting to do, but my monkey brain's telling me, must be new, must be shiny. So, yeah. So that's something I've already kind of been working on, and for the most part it's been good. And I think if you average out the year, I think I am going to end with having finished more than I've started. So that's going to help with the whole, decreasing the number of projects I have on my needles. Because ideally, I'd like about 10. And I know that's a lot for some people. But for me, I think 10 projects on the go at once means there's a bit of variety in having, different kinds of projects, not just jumpers, cardigans, hats, mittens, socks, scarves, whatever, but also variety within those categories. So having a really basic raglan, having a colourwork jumper, having a cable jumper, having a lace jumper, something like that. For, different moods that we find ourselves in when it comes to knitting. So that's my plan. We'll see whether any of it happens. If it doesn't, I think for people who've been watching my videos for a while, you know that if it doesn't happen, I don't really care. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Knitting is fun, or at least it should be fun. And if it's no longer fun, then why would I do it? And so that's the thing with these kind of plans and goals. They're not meant to restrict me in a way where I'm not having fun anymore. They're kind of more there to ensure that I have fun. Because it's kind of like, rules we have on the playground when we're kids. They might, take some fun away because, we just want to keep playing with that one thing, but we need to learn how to share and work with other people. But that then leads to more fun because then we can have fun with other people. Is that a weird metaphor to use? Well, that's what I'm going with. So yeah, these goals are just kind of meant to keep knitting fun for me, keep it doable, realistic, and also just make sure that, I can still get in and out of my apartment and it's not completely taken over by all my projects. Whee. But yeah, so I think that's everything. There has been a huge break, bigger than normal, between my latest podcast episode in German and my English one. I just got really busy and also just kind of overwhelmed in my own kind of like personal life. Things have been hard for many different reasons. Knitting has been keeping me sane though, and it just meant something had to give, and it had to be that I couldn't yet edit the English podcast video, but hopefully that won't happen again. But if it does, that's life, and I'm really sorry if anyone is kind of annoyed by that. I know I don't get annoyed or frustrated, but it's just if you like someone's videos and you're used to them coming out at a certain time and then they don't, you're kind of like, but I need those videos so I can knit on those evenings and watch and knit, and what am I meant to do now? So I like to try and keep some consistency, even if it's not, uploading on the same time, like same day and same time every week. I like to try and keep consistency between, if you see that a German video has gone up, that in 2 to 3 days you should be getting the English one, and not wait 2 to 3 weeks. So I apologize for that. But sadly that is just life. And all I can do is my best in the moment. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I have no idea how much I've knitted. I didn't keep track in my German one. I didn't keep track in this one. But I've knitted some on my forager. So we're making some progress on it. Well, this is an old project. This is a project from this year. But we're making progress on a project. And it's actually quite nice to work on this. Again, it's been a while. I've been focusing on other things, and especially with the warm weather, knitting with anything very woolly has just been hard. And I have pushed through with some things, but with other things I've had to just go like, it's not happening. I just can't. I am miserable because, my hands get warm and sweaty, and I'm warm and sweaty, and I'm like, I'm sorry, yarn, but it's just not happening right now. That's the end. Thank you for watching, and you should hopefully see a podcast episode soon. Until my next video, and once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're doing okay, and see you soon. Bye!